Hi, my name is Ron, and welcome to my new game, Lua Lua Coding Club, a visual novel story game on Roblox by me. My game is inspired and based off of another game, which I'm sure you already put the pieces together to. So far, I've spent about 11 months of work on this game, and it's finally finished, since I started work on it about Christmas 2023. I'd like to give you a little sneak peek preview of my game. So if you want to play the entire game without spoilers, I'll place the game link in the pinned comment or the description. Welcome to the club. I've created a nice little main menu with options for saving, quitting, exiting, and creating a new game. Let's create a new game. We'll have many options that we'll be able to choose from. We can choose our own names, our display names, or our usernames. For me, I'll just choose my own name to use. Here we introduce the player, who has just arrived to a well-earned summer vacation. But their friend, Kaylee, introduces the player to a new club. A coding club! The player is dragged to the club by Kaylee, which is where they meet the three other members, Harmony, Maddie, and Emmeline. Maddie brings out a gift for everyone on your arrival, and gives one made especially to the player. The player then attempts to slide their way out of the meeting, but who wouldn't want to stay in the coding club? After an outcry by the girls, the player eventually stays with them, clueless about the luau, the event where everyone will share their own scripts to a crowd of other programmers. And right now I'm just imagining the stench of that place if that was actually real, oh my gosh. After she had a brain blast of an idea, Emmy gets the idea to make their own scripts at home and share it with each other. She sends everyone home, and the player walks home with Kaylee. The player now has one more problem. They don't know how to code. Like, at all. The internet knows everything. Let's start there. Let's introduce you to the minigame feature, shall we? In this minigame, you are given a snippet of code and three options, one that appeals to each girl. You will see the effect of your script at the top left, and the girl who liked it most at the bottom right. Oh, the guy at the top right? Don't worry about him, he's just there for emotional support. After the long coding session, you're finally able to bring something to the club. Even if you took all night to do it. Kaylee arrives, but shuns the player about how she literally told the player not to stay up like this anymore. The player makes a quote-unquote energy drink for the day and hustles back to the club, where they meet the girls once more. The player is now introduced to another new feature, Coding Time, a segment where they get to interact with the simulations the other girls made and see the actual code that goes behind it. Later in the game, Maddie and Harmony get into a fight after they both attempt to use the class computer to make their own style of games. The outcome of the fight will depend on who the player picked during the minigame they had played at the beginning of the day. After the conflict is resolved, the player goes home by themselves, and the next minigame, bleeding into Thursday, begins. This time, the player designs a home, choosing the options they think one girl would like the most. The player returns to the club, and depending on which girl was chosen during the game, the route for this day will be different. For example, I just so happened to choose Harmony for my route. We sit down and she tells me a little more about her book, even if the conversation does end up being a little awkward. Coding time begins once more, but there's one file missing. It ends up being Kaylee's, and the others continue to show another batch of scripts, and the code behind it. After another funny conversation with Kaylee, the next coding session begins, and the player gets to choose animations they think one of the girls would like the most. The player wakes up late, super late. They rush to the club, awaiting the downfall of comments, and they meet three relieved girls and one angry Emmy. They aren't able to show scripts as a group since Emmeline is so busy doing something important. They split up into their own groups and do their work for the luau. The player ends up with whoever they chose during the minigame and gets to see the script the girl they picked had created. The player gets mixed up into all sorts of conflicts afterwards, depending on the girl the player picked. After a short hand in the middle, the members of the coding club are hyped and ready for the weekend. This time, our dear friend Bartholomew joins us. And you get to pick the girl you want for the upcoming route. Talk about 2 for 1. I decide to use Harmony as my example for this last route. The player wakes up to a huge storm with thunder, lightning, and flooding, and gets a text from Kaylee saying that she, or one of the other girls, depending on the route the player chose, needs help during the storm. Since I chose Harmony, they go to the school in the flood, and they meet Harmony at the main entrance. and venture down the stairs into the basement to help Harmony find an efficient enough power source to run her computer. Unfortunately, when they do find this main power supply and plug the computer in, it doesn't go so well. A new sub-minigame is now shown to the player, and they try to complete the task. Make one wrong choice, and you're done. Since you were so nice as to watch this video, here are the answers to Harmony's route. No problem, by the way. For example, in the good ending of Harmony's route, the player gets praised for somehow not bashing their head into anything. And as great stories do, they always end with a kiss.
Oh! Ew! Dude! What the fuck?
Obviously, some of the parts in this game are a little cringy, but it is 100% intentional to lead up to the thrilling day of the luau. The player, exhausted, goes to get some rest to prepare for an awesome but nerve-wracking day before the luau. And I think that's it for just the sneak preview of my game. Trust me, the game gets a lot better the farther you get into the game. This is not all there is to explore, and also, I really need your help. My game has 0 players, I'm serious, and if you could help make that number go up, and play a really good game in the process, I've left a join link in the pinned comment and description. And also, I just appreciate it times a million, but if you can't do it right now, I don't ask for much, except for a like on the video, so more people like you see it. Roblox has left small developers with small games on their platform like me, away from people's recommended. It's really difficult to get a game like mine, especially with this topic, out for people to see. So far, I've spent about $150 US on advertising, and you've already seen the results before. So this is my game, Lua Lua Coding Club. Thank you so much for watching. Also, have fun.